All right, I'm going to talk about Mario Kart and the economy and the possible collapse of our economic society. Okay, Mario Kart is a fun game, and it's a fun game for everyone, okay? It's a fun game if you're doing well, it's a fun game if you're not doing well. Anyone can play it. Good players are going to win more often. That makes sense. They're good. But everyone has a chance because of the items, right? The items. If you're playing really well, you're going to get really far ahead. Great. You're zooming down the track, okay? But then you're not going to get the great items. If you're not doing as well, you're a slower racer, you're going to fall back, you're going to get some better items. We're talking your golden mushrooms back here, okay? Because you're not doing as well. So this is called rubber banding, because it's like there's a rubber band between the person in front and the person behind. They're held by a rubber band, and the further apart they get, the more tension is on the band. It wants to pull them back together, okay? So that's rubber banding. This way, the game always feels exciting. It's always fun to play. Everyone's just playing their best and having fun. Super. That's why the game's so popular. Thanks, Nintendo. So let's imagine that's how the Mario Kart economy works, okay? So let's imagine our finances like a game of Mario Kart. We have people, they're not making as much money. We have like a public school teacher over here, okay? Then we have people who are doing a bit better, all right? You have someone over here, they're doing all right. And then you have people like shooting out front, right? And they're doing great. They're making tons of money. Awesome. So we have these different people. The speed at which they're making money is different. Some people are moving slower than others. So if this was Mario Kart, the Mario Kart economy, these public school teachers, they'd be getting like great items. You know, they'd be getting like discounts on healthcare or housing, you know. Those are like lightnings. They're getting lightnings in the back. They're just, you know, still fun for them, right? They're not making as much money, but it's still fun. Okay, they'd still keep playing their best because they wouldn't feel like it's hopeless. They feel like, well, I'm still having a good time, you know. But that's not how the real economy works. So if the Mario Kart economy has rubber banding, our economy has reverse rubber banding, okay, because of compound interest. So public school teachers, okay, they're going to spend the most of their money on like food and housing, right? So they make like this much money, and then like that much is all that's left, right? They have to spend like all this on like food and housing and stuff, okay? Then you have this person, they're making this much money. So they have to spend like this much. So they have a little more. What do they do with that? They invest it, okay? This person, they're making like this much, okay? They're making tons. And they only have to spend that much, okay? And then all of this, they can just like use to make more money. They can invest that money, all right? So every year, the amount of money that they have is going to grow, right? Because they're investing it every year, and there's a bunch that they can invest, right? So what happens here, okay? What happens with this situation? So what happens with this situation? Let's say they're all back here, okay? They're all racing along, they're all speeding along, all right? So here we go. We got this person, and they're going pretty slowly, and so their money's going up, right? This is the amount of money they have, and this is time, okay? It's like a chart. It's like a graph, okay? And then you have this person, okay, and they're starting here, but they're making more money, so they can invest more. And then this person, they're starting here, but they can invest even more, okay. But it's actually a little worse than that, again, because of compound interest, okay. So real quickly, let's say we have $10 to invest, and we invest it, and it makes 10%. What do we have at the end of that? We have $11, because 10% of 10 is 1. So we have $11. The next year, we make another 10% off of our $11. Fantastic. But we don't end up with 12, right? We end up with 12.1 because it's 10% of that number, then 10% of that number, 10% of that number. Compound interest. So it doesn't look like this, okay? This compounding actually speeds up as time goes on, right? So the racer out in front, the hill doesn't look like this, not a flat hill. Because if you're slow, you're in your slow car, you're trying to climb this hill, you might be able to get there. It's a little rough, you know, it's tough, but you can get there, okay? But that's not what it looks like. Because of compound interest, the more money they invest over time, the faster it goes, and then it looks like this, okay? So they've built a cliff. Now, the slow car, it's not gonna be able to get up that cliff. You're driving along, you're putting along, and then you get here, and all of a sudden the game starts getting less fun because you say, well, there's no way my car can even climb that cliff. We're not even playing the same game right now, okay? So there's no way for the person in back to catch up, ever, okay? They'll only get further behind, all right? This just turns into a rocket ship It's like they have a car and it turns into a rocket ship. So in Mario Kart, the Mario Kart economy, we would give this person some great items, right? And we'd stop giving the player who's really far ahead great items, right? They're in a rocket ship. They don't need those items. So the government tries to do this, right? It taxes people based on how much money they've made each year. That makes sense, right? But there's a couple of problems with that. If you make, right now, they changed this, but if you make $100,000 to $191,000, okay, the government is going to take 24% of that money. All right. Now, if you make between 191 and 243, the government takes 32% of that money. Well, that makes sense, right? They're making more money. They have more money to invest. They can give a little more to taxes. It's not going to hurt them. They're still going to be able to invest more than the person making the amount above them, right? Pretty simple. But there's a limit that the government takes, all right? So if you make $609,000, okay, or more, all right, you make $609,000, they're going to take 37%, right? So more than this person, makes sense. What if you make $1 million? Let's go. They still only take 37%. Mamma mia! Well, they already said 37% is a reasonable amount of money to tax this person for. Well, how's it a reasonable amount of money to also tax them for? What if you make $1 billion that year? 37%. Well, that doesn't make any sense. They're not stopping the rocket ship. The rocket ship, as soon as you pass this number per year, your rocket ship is going to the moon, to Mars, perhaps further. I don't know what's out there, okay? I'm not a science man. So you can see that not increasing the tax bracket past this number, right, it would let ships like cars turn into rockets. And that's where the problem is. We have carts turning into rockets. Rockets aren't allowed in Mario Kart. That's not fun for anyone. Play the game, check it out. You're not gonna see a rocket ship. Okay, we have one more problem though, okay? One more problem beyond this, all right? It's how Mario Kart works. In Mario Kart, there's a finish line in the game, right? It finishes. All these players, they racing along. This person finishes first, they finish next, they finish last, but that's okay. It finishes. What happens when the race is over? A new race starts. So it doesn't matter. Even if you're losing, you say, well, I'm only gonna lose for 2 minutes, 2 minutes, then the race is over and we all start again. So you think it's gonna be a fun race, we're gonna start over, and it's like a fresh new shot, right? But life doesn't have fresh new shots, right? You see what I'm saying? There's no hard reset for financial assets. All right, check it out, okay? Boop, ba-doop, boop, we're gonna get rid of the mess. Okay, so think about it like this, okay? Somebody, all right, we have our slow player, okay? They're like that. We have our faster player, they're like this. And then we have our like super rocket ship player and they're like taking off, okay? So we have three cars here. So every time they get taxed, right, what's really happening? They've made it here this year. This is the amount of money they've made that year. And so they're being moved back a bit. And then the next year, they're gonna continue. And then they make it here. And then the government's gonna move them back a bit. And then they're gonna make it here. Okay, but you see the problem. That still doesn't really fix the issue, does it? They're just moving them back a little bit each time, but they're not moving them back to like here or here. It's not keeping the game competitive. They're only gonna get moved back like a sliver, like a tiny little account, right? But they're still never gonna be competitive with this person. They're never gonna get their cart up a cliff. They're not gonna get it to the moon. It's not gonna happen, right? It's not competitive. And when people die, their money does get taxed again, but the rest they can leave to their kids. So let's say they've made it here in their lifetime, and then their kids only get this much, but they're still way higher than everyone else, and the rocket just keeps going. It just continues again. So where does this game actually end? Well, the game is failing to be fun anymore for more and more people. We have more and more people down here because there's only so much money, right? There's only so much. And if this keeps going like this person, there's more and more of these people, right? So the game's not fun anymore. The people in the back, they're never gonna win. And that's becoming clear. Because of compound interest, those people who are in the lead, they'll only stay in the lead and they'll only get further ahead forever because that's how math works, I think. If the system doesn't change, okay, the government doesn't do something, people, they're just gonna stop playing this game eventually, okay? They're gonna stop playing. So they've either gotta limit the size of this cliff, all right, by continuing to tax more as they get richer and richer, right? A million, a billion, 10 billion a year, you got to tax more and more each time. So they can do that, and they can limit how fast this cliff can grow. They can limit the size of the cliff, or they could create some sort of hard reset. So they sweep their progress more fully. When they die, they sweep progress more fully, okay? And they, I don't know, they leave some stuff here. So those are a couple ideas. I don't know what's right. I'm just saying what's happening, okay? If the government wants people to keep playing the game of civilization, of economic progress, they've got to keep the racers in competition.
Take that!